So for the last few years, I've been running an online business. I've built it to the multi-7-figure mark, selling courses, coaching, consulting, affiliate products. We've sold a whole bunch of stuff, right? And I've done that by building a personal brand, right? Creating content like you're watching right now, okay? What that meant, however, though, is I slowly but surely went down the social media rabbit hole. And I got to a point about 30 days ago where I was really, really fed up with it, right? And so I went and deleted all of the social media apps off my phone, okay? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, gone, all right? That was 30 days ago. What I wanted to do in this video is jump into the computer. I've made a bunch of notes. There was 3 phases that I went through in those first 30 days. And I just want to share with you the changes and things that I noticed by eliminating the social media platforms from my phone, right? I want to talk about it a little bit from a business perspective because that's relevant to this channel in particular, but also from a life perspective and the other things that I noticed from a mindset, physical changes, how I was spending my time, all of that kind of stuff. All right. We, as I said, we're 30 days in, and then if we keep rolling with this, I'm interested to see how things go at 90 days, 180 days, all that kind of stuff. All right. So I've made some notes on the computer. We're going to jump in and go through all that. If you want more information about what we do, you can head over to jacobcaris.com or check out some of the links in the description. Give this video a like if you get value, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of good stuff. Let's jump into the computer and talk about what happened over the last 30 days after deleting all the social media apps off my phone. Let's do it. All right, folks, let's jump into it. Okay, so I've made some notes here and I want to walk through this with you. We're going to start with a bit of background, then I want to talk you through what exactly I did and changed, and then I want to walk you through really what I experienced. And in particular, as I look back, I made some notes kind of along the way. It happened across 3 phases over the last 30 days, and some of the things that happened were quite interesting. So let's dive right in and talk about this. Okay, so just for a little bit of background, in case maybe this is the first video that you found on this channel, I run an online business and I use my personal brand to create content, and we help people sell courses, coaching, consulting, digital products online. I've been a really successful affiliate marketer as well, and a lot of this is done through content creation, in particular on platforms like YouTube, and a big part of the business for quite a few years now has been over on Facebook. So it goes without saying that I've been quite heavily involved in kind of the social media world for quite a few years, right? Like I create content nearly daily on Facebook, be that my profile, or I also run a group that's got nearly 4,000 people in it. I create email content, right? We post on YouTube multiple times a week. We close a lot of sales in the DMs, both me and my team, which means being present on the platform, right? And also paying attention to who's interacting in our communities, new members coming in, all that kind of stuff. And I've also got hundreds of clients on Facebook across the various programs that we run. All right. So very, very entrenched in the social media world, which made this even more of an interesting experiment than somebody who might just use it socially or as like a hobby or enjoyment or just because everybody else uses it, right? So there's a bit of additional complexity to this little experiment here. All right. So what I did, right, a month ago, I deleted all the social media apps off my phone. I got rid of Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Okay. Now for full transparency, still have Facebook Messenger, right? I communicate with so many people on there. So I wasn't able to abandon that yet. We'll see how we go. And I still have YouTube. All right, now I'm going to make some comments about having the YouTube app on my phone. Jury's still out on what I want to do with that. Noticed a couple of interesting things throughout this 30 days. And then about 25 days in, right, so call it a week ago-ish, I also deleted email off my phone, right? My Gmail, got a couple of Gmail accounts that I monitor for personal and business, and I'll tell you why, as we're going through this, why I then deleted that as well. Okay, so a little bit about why I went ahead and did this. All right, well, first is kind of experiment and curiosity, and just to see what it would do. I've had other periods over the last few years where I've deleted socials, added it back, might have deleted some of them, like had Facebook but no Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And I got to a point where I had all of them on there and just wanted to get rid of them. Right? I noticed I was becoming overly attached to my phone. Right? I was always conscious of like where it is, and kind of what's going on in that like online world. And when you run a business online, it's so easy to become attached to it because it's your livelihood, and you've invested so much time and effort and emotional energy into building it that you want to be kind of connected to it as much as possible, which naturally means being connected to social media in a lot of cases. I noticed I wasn't being as present with family and friends. I was always kind of thinking about what was happening with the business or on social media, in our groups, with our clients, all that kind of stuff. Another big one is I'd actually stopped reading, right? For quite a few months. I really enjoy reading. I've got books all around me. I've got books bloody everywhere, particularly around stuff related to the business and mindset, personal development, all that kind of stuff. And that had just completely dried up. And I find I get a lot of really good ideas around moving the business forward, and a lot of clarity, content ideas, strategic ideas from reading. And so this stopping was one of the catalysts. I was like, shit, I really haven't read in a really long time, at least not consistently. And actually, like, I'd start a book and I wouldn't have the attention span to finish it, and it just wasn't good, right? I noticed a lot of my downtime was being filled with just scrolling and flicking, or wasting time on these platforms. I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? I noticed I was getting anxious and annoyed at the content that I saw. So I'm in kind of the internet marketing space, if you will, and there's a lot of people on social media giving advice, and there's so much bad advice. I'm not saying I know absolutely everything, but I know what I know, and I've been able to achieve a fair bit in the industry that I play in, and there's just so much shitty advice out there, and there's just a lot of bullshit. And I noticed I was getting frustrated and annoyed with the stuff that I was seeing, which just isn't healthy. It's not like there's nothing I can do about it, right? Like it doesn't improve my productivity or help grow our business or help our clients if my energy is being consumed by crap that I'm seeing. I noticed I was spending the last hour of the day on my phone and social media before bed, and now I don't have data on this, but I'm sure that was impacting my sleep. You got this light right in your face. You're consuming stuff, like I said, that was annoying me. So probably, fucking with my head a little bit. It was the first thing that I was checking in the morning, right? I'd pick up my phone usually before I even got out of bed, check social media. Not good, right? Especially if you open it up, see something that annoys you, boom, days off on a terrible foot, right? And then what that also meant, all of this stuff led to me being very reactive to stuff that was popping up in the business, in our communities, rather than running it on my own schedule, right? And there's a lot of deeper stuff that goes into that, which I'm probably not going to touch on too much, that can really mess you up from a business perspective if you're constantly being reactive instead of you setting your boundaries, you setting the rules, and making people fit in with that. Okay, I'm not going to go too deep in that on this one, but there's a lot of consequences if you don't manage that correctly. Okay, so that's just there's probably more, but that's some of the main reasons as to why I did that. Okay, so let's dive into this. What happened next? Right, well, the first phase, which I'm going to call around days 1 to 5, what I noticed was that I've got my phone sitting here on my desk, right? I just filmed a little intro video for this, which I use my phone for, and I had my phone sitting here on my desk, and I'd be working away, and without even thinking about it, I would pick up the phone, and it does the like face unlock when it works, not with these glasses on, and I'd be on my home screen, and I'd just start flicking across like pages of apps, and I realized that my mind was looking for Facebooks and Instagrams and stuff like that. It was trying to find it to click, and I was like clicking around, and I was like, not even consciously, right? I'll call this like ghost scrolling or ghost flicking, right? It's not there. And this honestly took a couple of days for my brain to stop, right? It was looking for something that wasn't there anymore. And then what that meant was, because it couldn't get that, I guess, rush or hit or whatever from my phone, it made me more eager to check it on the computer, right? And I just felt this like kind of need to stay plugged in, right? There was a bit of anxiety about kind of what was happening while I was away from the house because I didn't have any access, right? I can sit here on my computer and I can pull up Facebook, for example. It's a little bit protected because I use that kill the newsfeed thing, which is cool if you want to be more productive if you are on social media. But when I was out, this was the only thing. And so initially in those first few days, I noticed a bit of anxiety about kind of being away from it all, right? But one of the really positive things that came out of this first 5 days was instantly I had more time, right? In the morning, in the evening especially, I had more time because when I wasn't at my desk, right, I couldn't just sit and flick on this thing. So I started reading again, right? I picked up, what was the first book I read? I'd been wanting to knock out Essentialism, which was a book recommendation that I've had from quite a few people. And I got really stuck into that. And we're going to touch more on the reading piece in a second. So that was kind of the first 5 days, all right? Around day 6-ish, I feel like that's when my brain started to kind of catch up to the fact that the socials weren't on the phone anymore, and the ghost scrolling stopped. The other thing that I stopped doing, and I'm going to look like a liar at this point because it's sitting here at the moment, it's because I just filmed, but what I started doing was actually throwing this over here, right? Having this on the other side of the room, because even though the socials were gone, I probably became more conscious of the fact that I was picking up the phone unnecessarily throughout the day instead of just staying focused on what it is that I'm working on, right? So I started just getting rid of it, put it over there on the other side of the room, or just leave it out of the room altogether. The instant productivity boost that comes from that is amazing. Okay, if you are working and you've got your phone on your desk, as much as possible, I would recommend eliminating it, because you probably pick it up very frequently and don't even realize it, and you're probably losing time every single hour, right? Not only that, but you're breaking focus, and then you've got to come back and catch up, and we're just not that good at multitasking. Or maybe it's just me. What I found was, in the time that I was on my phone, let's say I wasn't, in the office or whatever, my brain would start looking for new things on the phone to spend time on, right? If I wasn't, fully engaged, or I was out or whatever. I started actually reading emails more. I'm sure, like me, you've got a ton of emails. I actually just cleared all mine out. But you probably got a lot of emails. I actually started reading my emails again. Then I stumbled upon YouTube Shorts in the YouTube app, and this is something I'll touch on again shortly. It wasn't something I ever really spent much time watching, but it was like my brain was like, oh, find it. I started reading on a platform called Substack, which has got a bunch of articles and stuff, and I found myself kind of looking online more, right? So essentially my brain was looking for stuff to fill the void that this social media had left, which I thought was interesting, and I think will continue to develop. One thing I did notice though was me being, at least initially, I don't have anything conclusive on this yet, but me being starting to be less present on social media, I noticed we seem to have a bit of an increased kind of attraction marketing effect, more inbounds coming in and more qualified inbounds coming in. I don't know if that's just a psychological thing, kind of placebo effect, but it seemed to be with me kind of taking a step back and being less active, more people were kind of being drawn to us rather than us needing to do a bit of outbound marketing. Short, very small sample size, so nothing conclusive there, but just felt like some kind of energy shift or something, right? What was really exciting and continues to be is, with all the extra time, right, that wasn't spent with me wasting time, flicking on Facebook or being on any social media platform, is I started redeploying that time into longer term projects that I'm working on, right? Trying to create better content for this YouTube channel, building out more courses as part of our programs, creating new sales assets, stuff that won't necessarily yield an immediate result. But it's so easy to let these things just keep slipping out and out and out and out and out because we're pretending that we're actually busy when really we're just filling our time with social media and with shit. So it was exciting to get back into some of those and really start seeing progress quite quickly because of freed up time, more focus, less distractions, right? In this period of time, I managed to knock out 2 books. As I said, I knocked out Essentialism. I also read a book called The Nuclear Effect by a guy named Scott Oldford. I'm going to try to do videos on both of those and kind of my thoughts. But that was, it had been, I don't even know how long it had been since I'd actually finished a book. I'd started a lot of books, but just couldn't focus and get them out of the way. So definitely an increase in focus and ability to sit down, block out other distractions and just read and really zone in. So I knocked out those couple of books in this period of time. In this, probably towards the end of this second phase, I noticed I was becoming a lot less connected overall, right? I wasn't as worried as much about, checking everything and seeing what was going on. So this was probably towards like the week 3, end of week 3, heading into week 4, right, the start of week 4. And I was just becoming more and more kind of at peace with the fact that, maybe stuff is going on and I don't really need to see it, right? I got into a routine of I'd open my socials, I'd post our content that we need to post because I post it personally, and then close it, right? I might check it at the end of the day, and if there was something I needed to do, I might jump on, get it done, and close it out. But had ultimately at this point eliminated spending unnecessarily long amounts of time just on social media, not actually getting anything done, which in 0 to kind of 24 days is, I don't know how to look at that. Is it a long time? Is it a short time? I'm not sure. Regardless, it's a win, right? The other thing towards the end of this phase, I noticed I was out at dinner, and Liana was with me. I think she went off to the bathroom, and normally what I would do instantly is grab my phone when I'm sitting alone at where it went out for dumplings. I'd normally instantly grab my phone and start scrolling, right? And I don't know if this is a certain level of self-awareness or whatever, but I was just sitting there and just didn't have any urge to pick up my phone. I just sipped my beer, looked around, just kind of people watched, and it was really peaceful. It was like such a simple thing, but we just don't give ourselves room for downtime or silence, not being, not consuming new stuff, just observing and being present. And that was, it was simple, but it was cool. It was nice. So when I kind of noticed that, all right. And then that brings us into kind of the last week. Like I said, what I found was in the time I was on my phone, my brain was like looking for other things to like consume. Probably just like an ongoing effect of having been on social media for so long. And I found myself spending time in emails more. And so I was like, all right, well, if that's where it's going to redeploy it, I'm just going to get rid of emails. I don't need them. We don't get a ton of stuff happening on emails. It's mostly marketing shit, or, business finance stuff, bills, communicating with our accountants, all that kind of stuff. And it's not going to be urgent, right? Like I just don't need that on the go with me. So I've deleted that. Will I keep it that way? Who knows, right? As I said, in phase 2, I kind of, my brain found the YouTube shorts, but I found that over the last week, I'm not really looking at it. It doesn't really It doesn't really interest me. I'm still undecided if I'm going to keep YouTube or not. I do quite often. I'll like drive, to my parents. It's like an hour from here, or up to Brisbane, which is a bit over an hour. And I do like to have YouTube on my phone to listen to stuff in the car, not to watch it, but just to listen to the audio. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to delete that or not. Let me know. Should I keep it? Should I get rid of it? Fully go cold turkey? I don't know yet. But doesn't seem to be causing me too much grief at the moment. So as long as it's not, I'm just not really interested. I go on it when I need it, and it doesn't bother me otherwise, right? Continue to deploy more and more time into these long-term projects, building out assets. Like I said, trying to come up with new and better YouTube video ideas for you guys. Refining course materials, building sales assets, building delivery assets, looking at how we can improve our products. I think coming up with better content, getting a bit more creative, and coming up with new angles and all that kind of stuff. Just a lot more creativity and kind of mental freedom. I knocked out a third book, which I've actually got sitting here. It was one that one of my mentors, Travis, recommended, called Go Givers Sell More. I'll do a video on this really interesting book about leading with value. More of probably a reminder than revolutionary in isolation, but definitely worthwhile for people who create content and sell stuff. And then I got stuck into a fourth book, which I'm putting a decent dent in, called Ready, Fire, Aim. It's really cool to see that I've been able to start knocking out these ones that I've been wanting to read for ages, and was just losing time doing really stuff that wasn't too productive. This third last one here I think is interesting. I was sitting, where was I? I was sitting on the couch the other night, and I'd kind of done my work for the day. And when you run a business, it's tricky because you can always just fill your time with more work, right? I say to my clients, there's a line. You can have an infinite to-do list in this game. And so I was sitting out there one night, and I was like, I don't want to do more today. I've done enough. And I had this, I don't know if you remember when you were a kid and it was like, oh, mom or dad, I'm bored, right? Like, I've got nothing to do. And I don't know if boredom's the right word, but it was like the closest thing that I could describe, because I didn't want to work. And I now didn't have this thing that was always filling up my time. And I don't think I felt like reading at that point. And it was like, what do I do? Right? It's like, what am I going to do? It was for the first time in an incredibly long time that I was like, what am I going to do now? Like, actually stopping and thinking about that. Again, simple things, but just these little things that I think we don't have the mental space to process when it's so easy for us to grab our phone and fill up half an hour just flicking. Right? So that was an interesting little thing that I noticed. We'll see how that progressed. Another positive effect, got back into exercising more. I'd been a bit slack recently, if I'm honest. Getting back into more walks, getting back into the gym. Just got more time because I'm doing less busy work. I'm filling the windows that I need to with focused work and then getting out. Right? It's so easy, especially running a business on social media, just to be on there all day and not actually be moving the needle or getting like big revenue generating activities done or building assets and stuff like that. You can waste so much time, and getting these off my phone and just disconnecting more and more, I think is just having a really big flow on effect. And like I said, it's only been a month, but some pretty significant stuff, and just continuing to kind of care less and less about needing to check all the notifications, because I'm spending so much less time on there. I get on and I do what I need to do. I'll check if there's anything I immediately need to interact with, and then kind of jump off. So it's been a pretty positive first month, right? A couple of kind of overall thoughts, and then what comes next from here. I would say, as a general word, I'm feeling much more kind of zen, less. Like, I'm not consuming that content that was annoying me and pissing me off, which is, I'm feeling a lot less attached or a lot less care factor about kind of what's happening on social media. And that took a bit of time throughout that first month, but seems to be getting better and better. I still feel like I'm spending a bit too much time on my phone when I'm out and about. I do need to get better at disconnecting kind of completely, but it is improving. Right, as I said, I replaced the socials with scrolling on email and other things, and so what I'm trying to do is just pay attention to, okay, well, what am I doing kind of subconsciously? Where is that time going? What is it that's pulling me away, and how can I change that up? Part of this is just having a bit of willpower, but a lot of the time I just find we don't even think about it. We grab our phone and we're on it, right? We're so connected to it, and after years and years and years of being heavily involved in it, it's a challenge, right? I'll be the first to kind of raise my hand. I'm really happy that I managed to knock out 3 books and getting into the swing of reading more and more. So many ideas, and it's just peaceful time, right? Shut off. No noise, no screens, no lights in your face, not consuming. You are consuming because you're reading a book, but not noisy stuff. It's just you and like a physical thing, and it's peaceful. So really liking that. My focus is definitely continuing to improve and get better and better, which I get a really high ROI on time that I spend building assets for the business. So I think that's exciting to be able to I've never really struggled with focus, but I've struggled with wasting time when I am on social media and just being on there longer than I need to be, right? I'm excited about the progress of bigger projects that had stalled a bit due to wasting time on kind of unproductive busy work, and I think those will the effect of those will compound more and more over time. I'm interested to see further changes over the next kind of 60 to 90 days, and if you guys are interested, I'll kind of report back. Remains to be seen if I'll go back to having it on my phone, but as I said, I've been enjoying the benefits so far. And the other thing that's happening too is it's forcing us to keep leveling up the business and to be less reliant on me being active on social media in order for us to hit our income goals. So what this is naturally going to force is me to build more systems and more assets to essentially clone myself or replace the time that I was otherwise being active on these platforms. Sales assets, lead generation assets, marketing assets, nurturing assets, delivery assets, all this kind of stuff. And that can only be good for the long term, right? But when you don't have the time because you're in the weeds, or you don't have a need to because you're in the weeds, you don't build this stuff as much. You still build a bit of it, but you don't build it as much as you could, right? And it's when you step back that you start to see more opportunities and you start to see where you can clone yourself. So I think this is going to have a huge ROI in time. And then, like I said, much less frustration because I'm consuming a lot less content and noise and just YouTube from time to time, which you have a lot more control over because I don't really flick on YouTube. It's just kind of I have certain people that I watch and I'll go and find their stuff, check it out, and then be done with it, right? So that's 30 days in. All right, they're my thoughts, kind of the 3 phases, why I did it, what I've noticed so far. Some interesting stuff, some really positive stuff, but it is still, early days for me, and definitely still some areas I still need to get better at disconnecting. I still need to get better at shutting off and not checking my phone, kind of as like a bit of a reflex. 100% raise my hand. I need to get better at that, right? But my recommendation would be, if you can relate to kind of any of the stuff that I was talking about up here, right? Particularly if you're a business owner, if you've got the curiosity to kind of see how things change for you, go for it. If you feel like you're becoming overly attached to your phone, if you feel like you're not being present, if you're not reading or your learning or growth has stopped, you might be just spending too much time doing unnecessary social media stuff, right? Is all your downtime filled with just scrolling and flicking? Do you feel yourself getting anxious or annoyed? Are you ending or starting your day with this stuff? And are you becoming very reactionary? If any of that is relatable for you, I'd say give it a go, right? It doesn't have to be something that you do forever. You may not like it, right? It may not be for you, but see how your life changes. See the effects. This is just me being frank and honest with you, right? Like, I'm not going to say my things have completely turned around in 30 days. I'm just telling you what I've noticed, right? The little shifts and stuff that I've noticed. And you may notice similar things. You may notice something different, right? As I said, you might like it, you may not. But I think it's also a good challenge, right? Maybe you think you're not that bad. You're probably worse than you realize, right? I think, as I said, we don't think we realize how much we use it or how much impact it is having on our ability to focus or be productive. So I'd say give it a shot. See what happens. Don't do it to the detriment of your livelihood, right? I haven't abandoned social media and deleted my accounts and burnt a 7-figure business. I've just adapted and found different ways to do it. And like I said, it's going to force us to keep changing things, which make us less reliant on me being on social media, which is only going to be good for the long term, more sustainable, probably more profitable. There's some positioning and brand psychology stuff that we could get into that definitely helps, but it's kind of out of scope of this one. So I'd say give it a go. See what happens, right? If you've got any questions about kind of doing this, let me know in the comments. But I'll keep going and I'll report back at 90, 180 plus days if it's all still going strong. If I fall off the bandwagon for whatever reason, I'll let you know. Right, but I just wanted to share this from the perspective of someone who doesn't just have social media because it's the thing that everybody uses in this day and age, but someone who actually uses it to run a business and uses it successfully to run a business. Because that is, I think a lot of people go, I'd like to, but I just can't because of my business. There's probably a way around it. There's going to be teething issues. There's going to be an adjustment period, but there's probably a way around it if it is something that you really want to have a go. So I thought share my perspective as a business owner who is and still is relatively firmly entrenched in kind of the social media game and my experiences before and in the initial 30 days, and I'll keep you all updated about it as we keep cracking on. All right. I appreciate you hanging out with me in this one. Head over to jacobcaris.com if you want to find out more about what we do with information marketers and affiliate marketers. Subscribe, give the video a like, and I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll chat to you soon. Cheers.